Day 19. Genesis chapter 22, 23, and 24. Welcome. The whispers from today's reading are not just historical accounts. They are living lessons, stories of obedience, sacrifice, provision, honor, grief, love, and divine timing. Open your heart, settle your thoughts, and let the Spirit illuminate truths that might easily be overlooked. Let's begin with, but Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and placed it on his son Isaac, and he himself carried the fire and the knife. Abraham puts the wood on Isaac, the part that symbolizes burden, yet he carries the fire and the knife, the tools of sacrifice and responsibility. In life, God does not place all the weight on one person. Everyone carries something, and leaders carry the hard things. As parents, mentors, business owners, or community leaders, we often carry the fire and knife, the decisions, the risks, the emotional strain. Meanwhile, others, family, employees, students, carry the daily responsibilities, the wood. On that mountain, Abraham didn't know what God would do, yet he kept walking. Sometimes that's the only command God needs from us in a new season. Keep walking. Next we read, so Abraham called that place, the Lord will provide. And to this day it is said, on the mountain of the Lord it will be provided. Not before the mountain, not on the way to the mountain, but on the mountain. Provision often comes at the place of obedience, not before. We want God to provide before we start the business, before we take the job, before we move, before we trust, before we forgive. But God says, walk up the mountain first. For anyone afraid to take the next step, please listen. Start the project, begin the course, apply for the job, open the business, repair the relationship, relocate if you must. Say yes to what God is asking. Provision is waiting at the place of faith, not at the starting point. In verse 5 of the next chapter, the Hittites say, Sir, listen to us. You are a mighty prince among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our tombs. Abraham lived as a foreigner, a stranger. Yet the people said, You are a mighty prince among us. What's the whisper here? Your character can earn you honor in places where you do not naturally belong. Abraham wasn't honored because of wealth or power. He was honored because his life spoke louder than his words. And notice when this honor is revealed. In a moment of deep grief, when Sarah died. Sometimes your true reputation appears when life breaks you, not when life is perfect. Remember, grief does not reduce your value. Pain does not erase your influence. People still see the strength of your character. And God can give you favor even in foreign, unfamiliar seasons. The chapter ends with, so the field and the cave in it were deeded to Abraham. Abraham did not accept the land for free, even though it was offered. He insisted on paying full price. Why? Because Abraham was thinking generationally. Free things often do not last. Ownership requires investment. This teaches us to do things properly. Sign the agreements. Pay what is right. Don't cut corners. Think long term. Build a legacy, not shortcuts. Consider what fields and caves must you acquire or secure. What investments must you start or formalize? In chapter 24, the woman was very beautiful, a virgin. No man had slept with her. She went down to the spring, filled her jar, and came up again. Before you notice beauty, notice action. Here are the observations made about Rebecca. She went down the hill to the spring. She filled her jar. She came up again. She offered water. She watered the camels. She hurried. She went the extra mile, and all before anyone mentioned marriage. Dear friends, in this life we have experienced how opportunities often find people who are already working. Rebecca wasn't sitting at home waiting for destiny. She was doing the ordinary faithfully, and that's where God met her. While many people pray for blessings, this story teaches us that blessings often locate people who are diligent, generous, humble, consistent, and are willing to serve. Rebecca didn't know her ordinary act of kindness was opening an extraordinary door. Do what you can, where you are, God handles the rest. Then we see how Laban and Bethuel in verse 50 recognize God's hand quickly. This is from the Lord. We can say nothing to you one way or the other. Sometimes God confirms his will through clarity, other times through silence, sometimes through peace. When something is from God, you won't need manipulation, force, or pressure. If you find yourself forcing a door open, pause. What is from God will stand without damage to your soul. Genesis 22-24 teaches us that the journey of faith is not glamorous. It is practical, emotional, relational, and deeply human. You may not see the ram yet, but keep climbing. The God who provided then still provides today.